So each turn, you'll look across the map, you'll identify where your railheads can be advanced, and you've got a rail conversion limit for each scenario. Now, this is kind of a rule that is throughout the series. Every title has a different map, different rail networks, and different rail conversion rates. For this particular title and scenario, we have from game turns 1 to 12 about 16 total axis rail hexes to convert. Now I'll explain how this works in a moment, but what you're looking for is rail lines that will facilitate the movement of supplies to support your offensive. So you're effectively extending the line of your rail networks, which extends the placement, the delivery, in effect, of new supply points that sort of arrive as reinforcements, in effect, each turn. And you want those to be able to move along a rail line as far out to the front and the focus of the fighting as possible. What this means is that they're being railed straight out to the front. They can be, ideally, within range of those combat units that are attacking. So you've got a lot of options. If I can kind of pan back a little bit, or zoom up, there are a lot of potential railheads. This is the rail broken marker. So you'll have a railhead and then a kind of, I don't know what the correct name for it is, but the Russian rail broken marker, which shows that from that point on, they're all Russian rail networks. So you can see one here, there's one further south off map here, you can see one here, another one over here. If I pan up a bit further, there's one up there. So a lot of them all over the place. And yeah, certainly I've captured a lot of territory here out across the border of Poland and East Poland. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. There's special rules such that the Axis can get up to 6 on some of their railheads, but for most scenarios, for most of these titles, you're advancing 4 hexes per line. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Great. Now I can advance my new supplies up to here, and that will support this drive on Bialystok. However, as I said, you've got 16 of these conversion points to make, and ideally you want to focus these where your supplies are most needed. From here, it's not too hard to get a mobile supply unit and just drive it across that border. It's where I most want supplies is out here on the front where my Panzer divisions are driving. You'll notice I kind of did a map summary video a couple of days ago, but this is the rail line that is going to support. It goes all the way through to Minsk, well, all the way up there, and I think it's in a great position. It's right alongside this primary road, so this is the rail line that I really want to prioritize. It splits, so it can support that eastern sort of drive through the Pripyat marshes to the east. It splits to the north as well through Brest, so I could go that way if I want. Rail conversion, and I'll show you the points so you can kind of make more sense of what they are. So on map C, which is something like the northern map up here, I get 4 rail conversion points per turn. It's 4 hexes, not a lot. On maps D, H and I, that's south, west, and the 2 eastern maps, I get 6 rail conversion points per turn. Maps C and D combined, I get 4 additional points per turn within the borders of East Poland and Lithuania. And additionally for maps C and D, these western maps combined, 2 RCPs to be added to any one rail line conversion. And there's a note here that this lets you, as I was talking about just a moment ago, can allow me 6 hexes to be converted, which is an exception. Normally you're limited to 4. Now, so this is going to be a priority. I want 4 down here, certainly driving through Brest. let me take you further north. So I'm going to send the camera flying just a moment. We're going to zoom up north and I'll show you the situation up in the north. Things have been going much better for the Germans up here. Okay, so here we are up near Vilnius. Now they've captured Vilnius on turn 1. I was worried they may not capture it by the end of turn 2, but the key to this success out here has been incredible luck on overruns. Every overrun attempt out here has been brilliant, which is kind of the opposite of what's happening down the south. So down the south I've been rolling terribly for overruns. Up in the north here, just amazing 1s and 2s consistently. So not only overrunning but causing step losses on those Russian defenders. Now the rail line actually starts further to the west, which kind of gives you a sense already of why I may want to prioritise this area. Down the south, we're about 10-15 hexes from the railhead near Brest. Up here, we are advancing so far. We're off the camera to the east here. I'm already kind of, what are we looking at here? 10, 20, we're almost 30 hexes away from my railhead. So I'm going to prioritise this above the southern railhead advancement. There are restrictions on advancing railheads. You can't go through enemy units, obviously. You can, if I've understood this correctly, I'm going from memory here, not reading the rules, but you can advance your railhead into an enemy zone of control if it is friendly occupied. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4 into here if I wanted to. That would certainly help support my drive on Grodno, but again, I've got so many supplies in this area, I don't really need to worry about these. I need to focus and prioritise my rail conversion where I need most to get those supplies to the front. It is as simple as going, okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I am prioritising. I am spending those bonus 2 points up in the north here because I want this rail to advance very, very rapidly out towards Vilnius and beyond. So this rail line, incidentally, the Russians here are in Varna. The rail line comes down to here, it splits down towards Grodno and then north towards Vilnius. And it's that northern path that I'm going to take. That's the plan. So it's still pretty good. As long as you've got, you're making maximum use of your rail conversion points. It'd be a problem if there were Russians sort of blocking these areas. What that means is next turn I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So next turn I'm okay, as long as the Russians don't interfere here. For the following turn though, by turn 3, I'd want to be sure that Varna is cleared out. I'm pretty sure it will be. I don't think those Russians will hang along around there for very long, but it's always a threat that the Russians, I mentioned this again in my sort of over video, the Russians can cut those rail lines and really disrupt German supplies coming through. Now, what is this marker doing here? Well, these little cardboard markers are great, but I've read in the rulebook this idea that you can use a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just a whiteboard marker to mark the extent of your rail network. It makes it, as you can see, very clear, and it also gives you a very good visual, because grey counters, orange counters can easily kind of be lost in the maze of counters. It gives you a good clear indication of where I'm advancing. I just now have to be careful that I don't accidentally slide and bump. Oh no, Russian partisans have interrupted my rail line, I've got to redraw it. So I've got to be careful that I don't rub that off, but I'll use both. I'll use both the counter and that whiteboard marker to note rail expansion. So I've used now my 4 rail conversion points on map C. Incidentally, the map boundary, I've got the map so well aligned I can't even see it. Map boundary is along here somewhere. Yeah, think that's a map boundary. Did a good job of lining them up. So yeah, we use 4 in the north, plus 2 additional within the borders of Lithuania. Actually, sorry, 2 additional to be added to any one rail line conversion on map C and D. So I've used 6 out of the, what did I say, 6 out of the 16. I have 6 more. I've got 4 more in map C and D. Basically, I think I'll be using those. Where will I be using those? I don't know. Let's get down to Brest. That's the second priority. Alright, so taking the camera back again. We're moving back down to the south. And we're looking down here. Alright, so pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can't go, oh there's no rail line up there anyway. I haven't destroyed this fortified line yet. Now down in the south, just off camera to the south here, I have cleared that line. I have kind of cleared the Russians that were kind of blocking that line. I was thinking that would be a backup rail in case Brest wasn't captured yet. I could sort of send supplies along this rail line, but because of my turn 1 attack on Brest, capture of Brest, it's all clear. The problem now is drawing this. Here we go. Alright, so now we have 6 more to go. 6 up north, 6 down south, 6 more basically from maps C and D, as long as they're kind of, well, we're pretty safe for now with those restrictions. I don't really know where I want these other 6 to go. There are a lot of supplies getting into the Grodno area. I think this this drive through here is going pretty strong. You can see got a couple of motorized units through here, moving quite rapidly, trying to get behind the Russians. I suspect the Russians may even pull back from here, which means that getting perhaps this line advanced, or there's the other line. You can see 2 in the image here. The one on the right, the one on the left. This one goes straight to Bialystok. This one links up here and could go further along, so it's a more direct route. I think I'll do this one. So I can do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll draw that in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 2 more points. May as well. I'm looking up north towards Grodno. There is a little rail line up. You can see it here. 1, 2 hexes. You don't save rail points, so if you don't spend them, you lose them. There we go. So we've got our southern rail network beginning to expand. Hard to see with all those counts on top. I'll draw that on later. But that is how we do rail conversion. Now it's pretty straightforward right now. As I said, you prioritise north or south. If the southern offensive went really well, I might give those bonus 2 points to there. There's really only, from what I can see, the one important rail line up in the north. It's the one that I've prioritised. It gets interesting. Well, I think it'll get interesting around about turn 5 and 6, as I think the Russian line will stiffen and we begin to need to fight to clear out the hexes ahead of those planned rail conversion points. It's a really fascinating part of the game. It's a part of the game that I really enjoy in the East Front series. Just thinking about, you know, where are you going to spend those points, where do you need to get supplies to, and thus where do you need to push the Russians away from, in effect. certainly an army group south with that tough Russian defense down south. It's there's a lot of tension. Okay, so from there, rail conversion done. There's no bridge destruction yet, so there's no bridge repair. We now remove overrun markers from Russian units. And as I said, there's a lot of success with overrun way up in the north, up here. Okay, so only 2 overrun markers left. A lot of eliminated Russians again. Conduct fortification destruction. Okay, so now we destroy. Now I have to find my fortification destruction markers. And basically wherever I have a combat, I think I pointed this out in a separate video. Wherever I have a combat unit, I can place a fortification destroyed marker. There aren't many, because I've already done the work on the first turn. I don't think there are any more, in fact. If I've missed anything, I can pick it up later. But that's about it for fortification destruction. Turn desired. This is the one bit I was reading earlier, I'm not sure about. Turn Axis super heavy artillery units to the firing side if they did not move during the turn. Now, they fired in the first turn. What I'm in here now is the extended sequence of play for this scenario. It's still turn 1, but it's this specialized segment. And they did not fire in this particular kind of fire movement segment, so I'm really not sure if they're allowed to flip back or not. I guess technically, reading the rules as written, it's still game turn 1, so I won't flip them. Many of them are down here near breast. I won't flip them. Just reading the rules as written, I could well be wrong there. Both players now turn their fired artillery over to their non-fired side. And a lot of these scattered around, just the ones up in the north. So doing everything except the super heavy artillery. Alright, that should be, again I probably missed 1 or 2, I've done that pretty quickly. We now go to the player, the Soviet player segment.